Mark Pope is a great guy, and he wants to thrive at Kentucky. So much so that he feels indebted to former Kentucky players and coaches, including John Calipari. Did you see that? Let's analyze that approach. The program, which has breathed excellence since its beginnings, now has in its hands Mark Pope, a coach who seems genuinely aware of the magnitude of the responsibility that has been entrusted to him, not only because of the weight of the titles won or the players who have passed through the university, but because he sees Kentucky not as a simple stopover in his career, but as a living continuation of a legacy built over decades. Pope, in his recent words during an interview on Kentucky Sports Radio, revealed a dimension rarely seen in modern coaches. The deep awareness that success at Kentucky belongs not only to the present, but also to the past. He has spoken openly about feeling indebted to the former players and coaches who built the program to where it is today, including John Calipari, whose shadow still looms over Lexington even after his departure for Arkansas. That statement alone could be construed as mere rhetoric, but Pope's tone suggests something deeper. He's not just aware of what came before him, he wants to honor it as he seeks to write his own chapter in that story. Cal's out there in Arkansas and he's like, "Don't screw up my program. Man, this is the best basketball program in the whole world," Pope said, referring to an alleged conversation with Calipari. The quote, whether real or contrived, reflects an undeniable truth. Kentucky basketball is more than just a sports institution. It's a living monument, fueled by the memories, accomplishments, and passion of everyone who has ever worn the blue and white. And Pope seems determined to not only keep that flame burning, but to make it burn even brighter. The coach also shared a meaningful conversation with New York Knicks star and former Kentucky great Karl Anthony Towns, in which the two discussed the concept of legacy. For Towns, returning to Rupp Arena with his children in the future will be an opportunity to show them the place that transformed his life. Pope, for his part, sees it as a natural extension of the bond between the program and those who built it. He mentioned names like Antoine Walker, Tony Delk, and Joe B. Hall, acknowledging that every title, every victory, and every magical moment within those walls was shaped by these figures. That connection, he said, should be preserved and celebrated. But what makes Pope's words so powerful is not just the nostalgic sentimentality, but the way he translates them into concrete action. He expressed sadness over Travis Perry's transfer to Ole Miss, not because of the athletic loss, but because Perry will miss out on the chance to experience a triumphant return to Rupp Arena years later, with his family by his side. This seemingly small detail reveals the depth of Pope's understanding of Kentucky basketball's role in the lives of his athletes. For him, the program is not just a means to professional success, but a bridge that connects generations. This approach is especially relevant at a time when college basketball is facing dramatic changes. With more flexible transfer rules and the growing influence of the NIL, many programs have prioritized short-termism over building a lasting identity. Pope, however, seems willing to swim against the tide. He's not just focused on winning games or recruiting stars. He's committed to restoring Kentucky's sense of place. Pope's first year as head coach has been marked by ups and downs, culminating in a campaign that he himself feels fell short. But rather than seeking excuses or justifications, he has embraced the challenge as an opportunity for growth. His approach reflects an unusual mindset. He knows that early failure doesn't define his journey, but how he responds to it does. And based on his recent statements, it's clear he's willing to work tirelessly to get Kentucky back on top. What makes Pope such an interesting figure in college basketball is his ability to balance ambition with humility. He's not shy about acknowledging the giants who came before him, but he's also undeterred by the pressure of following in their footsteps. He's a great guy, that Pope. Let's get going. Pope wants to transform the way the sport is played, scheduled, and experienced. One of Pope's boldest proposals is to expand the regular season schedule. Currently limited to 31 games, the coach argues that number needs to increase, and he's not calling for modest changes. His ideal vision is a 40-game schedule, with at least 35 as an intermediate goal. The rationale? Revenue. With the recent revenue split between conferences and the growing influence of the NIL, Pope believes that more games means more opportunities for programs to generate revenue and strengthen their brands. But for him, it's not just about finances. It's also about creating a more robust and exciting competitive schedule. Imagine if we had 4 extra games that we could add to our schedule, Pope said during the interview. He envisions those games as opportunities to play high-level opponents at neutral sites, in-state or even out-of-state, further strengthening Kentucky's prestige on the national stage. This upcoming season, Pope has scheduled preseason games against Purdue and Georgetown, as well as marquee matchups against Louisville, Michigan State, Gonzaga, Indiana, and St. John's in November and December. But for him, that's not enough. He wants to revive traditions, like a return to the Maui Invitational, and propose new rivalries, like a home and away series against Kansas, or even a visit to iconic stores, home of UConn. This approach reflects something fundamental to Pope's philosophy. Kentucky should not hide from anyone. "If you come to Kentucky, don't come here to hide," he said. That statement encapsulates his view that the program, as one of the most storied in the country, has an obligation to face the best possible opponents, regardless of the risk of defeat. For Pope, exposure and challenge are essential ingredients for the team's growth and for keeping the fans' passion alive. But Pope's ideas don't stop there. He also advocates for games to be held on traditionally sacred dates in the sports calendar, such as Christmas. In today's era of college athletics, where players are increasingly treated as professionals, he argues that it makes sense to adopt practices similar to those of professional leagues such as the NBA. "Every kid dreams of playing in the league," Pope said. "A year from now, they'll be playing a game on Christmas Day and the whole family will be there." Plus, with the advent of the NIL, athletes now have the flexibility to bring their families to these special games, creating a unique and memorable atmosphere for both players and fans. Another suggestion Pope makes is to expand the summer workout schedule. Currently, the NCAA limits workouts to just 4 hours per week for 8 weeks in the summer. A restriction he says no longer makes sense in the current context. Players, who now earn significant amounts of money thanks to the NIL, are eager to invest time in honing their skills, but the current rules make it difficult to do so. "Guys are dying," Pope joked, referring to the players' desire to train harder during their off-season. "They're like, can we just get together and work a little bit?" He said allowing more frequent and longer workouts during the summer would be a way to better prepare teams for the demands of the season, while also getting the most out of their players. All of these proposals reveal a coach who is thinking not only about the present, but also about the future of Kentucky basketball. Pope sees the program as a driving force for change in college basketball, leading by example and showing that it is possible to balance tradition, competitiveness, and innovation. He knows that Kentucky has a unique responsibility, both to its fans and to the sport as a whole, and he is determined to honor it. Still, it's important to note that these ideas don't come out of nowhere. They are the fruit of a deep understanding of what makes Kentucky special, its ability to attract the best talent to meet the greatest challenges. Is Kentucky preparing you well? If so, subscribe to the channel. It's not the best time for Kentucky football. The year 2024 has been a test of resilience for the University of Kentucky football program. After a 4-8 season, the worst in nearly a decade under Mark Stoops, the longest tenured coach in Wildcats history, the optimism that once surrounded the program has been replaced by a wave of skepticism. The recent release of CBS Sports head coaching rankings, which placed Stoops at number 36 overall, a steep drop of 16 spots from the previous year, reflects the national perception that Kentucky football is facing a time of uncertainty. But, amid this challenging landscape, there's reason to believe that Stoops, with his experience and determination, can lead a remarkable turnaround in 2025. The CBS Sports rankings, a barometer of public opinion in college football, are relentless. In their assessment, Stoops' drop from 20th to 36th, falling outside the top 30, is a significant blow for a coach who until recently was celebrated as one of the top 25 coaches in the country. CBS's analysis points to the disappointment of last season. When you're the coach of a program with low expectations, they love you when you exceed them. But when you get back to where everyone thinks you should be, well, it gets tough. A 4-8 record in 2024, marked by just one win in the competitive SEC, has highlighted the difficulties of maintaining consistency in a conference where giants like Georgia, Alabama, and LSU dominate. The CBS panel's voting reflects that perception. with Stoops receiving ratings ranging from a respectable 24th to a surprising 58th, highlighting the divided opinion about his work. This drop in the rankings is not just a number. It carries symbolic weight that could have a significant impact on the program in 2025. In college football, public perception influences recruiting, fan confidence, and even roster morale. Being ranked outside the top 30 puts Stoops in Kentucky in a delicate position, especially as the program undergoes a complete roster overhaul following the departure of key players in 2024. The lack of enthusiasm in the offseason, as noted by CBS, reflects the modest projections for next season, with many analysts predicting a similar performance to last year against an equally brutal schedule. The pressure on Stoops is undeniable. In a sport where the national narrative can shape a program's future, the absence of a coach of his caliber in the top 30 is a wake-up call. But if there's one thing Mark Stoops' Kentucky career has taught us, it's that underestimating him is a mistake. Since taking over in 2013, Stoops has transformed the Wildcats from a perennial SEC underdog to a respected contender. Between 2016 and 2023, he delivered remarkable consistency, with 7 to 10 regular seasons and bowl appearances, something unthinkable for the program decades ago. The 2024 campaign, while disastrous, does not erase that legacy. Stoops opted to maintain continuity in 2025, betting on new talent and a strategic rebuild of the team. This decision, while risky, demonstrates the coach's confidence in his long-term vision. The arrival of new players, combined with the experience of remaining players, could be the catalyst for a turnaround. The CBS rankings also offer a glimmer of hope. Despite the slump, Stoops still leads other SEC coaches like Jeff Lebby, Mississippi State, Sam Pittman, Arkansas, Clark Lee, Vanderbilt, Brent Venables, Oklahoma, Hugh Freeze, Auburn, and Billy Napier, Florida, to rank 10th in college football's strongest conference. That's no small feat. The SEC is a battleground where even the best struggle, and Stoops' position, even after a tough year, suggests he's still respected nationally. The fact that he's ranked 24th in some polls shows that there are those who believe he can turn things around. Looking ahead to 2025, Kentucky is flying under the radar, and that could be an advantage. Without the high expectations that marked previous years, Stoops has the opportunity to work without the burden of intense scrutiny. The SEC schedule remains challenging, with opponents like Georgia, Tennessee, and Ole Miss on the horizon, but Stoops has already proven that he knows how to surprise. The roster shakeup, while creating uncertainty, brings new blood and potential for tactical innovation. Promising players and Stoops' leadership, known for his ability to develop underrated talent, could turn Kentucky into a positive surprise this 2025. We look forward to it. I want to hear your thoughts now.